I would like to extend a Céad Míle Fáilte to each and every one of you to Stephen's Barracks, and to thank you all for taking the time to be with us here today for this commemoration. It is indeed a great honour for me, as officer commanding the 3rd Infantry Battalion, to address you on this historic occasion, namely the 90th anniversary of the takeover of Stephen's Barracks by representatives of the Irish Provisional Government. The barracks, which was built between 1801 and 1803, had been occupied by over 60 different British regiments up to the takeover on the 7th of February 1922. The truce, which came into force on the 11th of July 1921, marked the end of the War of Independence, a bloody conflict which by that time had reached stalemate between opposing forces. We can only imagine the scenes of joy and elation around the town as members of the local Old IRA Brigade, under the leadership of Brigadier General George O'Dwyer, prepared to march from St James's Park through Kilkenny to the Barrack Gate at Ballybox Street, led by the local St Patrick's Brass and Reed Band. These scenes were well documented by the Kilkenny people, whose staff, as well as the staff of Smitty's Brewery, cheered on the Irish troops as they marched by. Having been blessed by the friars at the end of Friar Street, the troops were also supported by the then Mayor of Kilkenny, Peter de Loughrey, who had been imprisoned with De Valera. It is heartening to see the degree of affinity that still exists between the people of Kilkenny, its local businesses and institutions, and the military in Stephen's Barracks. An affinity which was no doubt forged during those earlier formative years. After being delayed for approximately half an hour, the handover eventually took place between Brigadier General O'Dwyer and his troops and representatives of the British Devonshire Regiment. After a brief ceremony, the British lowered their flag and then proceeded to pull the flagpole to the ground. However, the replacement flagpole was provided by Captain Ned Mulrooney, one of the local volunteer officers, and when the tricolour was finally raised, a large cheer broke out from the volunteers, and the band played a soldier's song, and was joined in song by the volunteers. This was one of the first public renderings of our national anthem. Shortly afterwards, British troops withdrew in their Crossley tenders to the Curragh, which itself was handed over later that spring. I am delighted to welcome back the relatives of Brigadier General O'Dwyer and Captain Mulrooney for the reenactment of the takeover, which today began with the march in of troops of the 3rd Infantry Battalion under the command of Commandant Conor O'Shea, and will continue shortly with the ceremonial hoisting of the national flag by the orderly officer Lieutenant Larry Scallon, followed by a rendering of Reveille and the national anthem, this time played by the band of the 1st Southern Brigade. Since those heady earlier days, the Irish Army here in Kilkenny has gone from strength to strength, and it is estimated that in the coming months the number of personnel here in Stephen's Barracks will be almost 400. This will be due in the main to the return of our troops from South Lebanon and the imminent closure of Pickett Barracks Clonmel. Despite our increased area of operations and tasking, we will continue to serve the people of the South East, and particularly Kilkenny, and thus endeavour to reinforce the dreams of our ancestors who marched fearlessly through these gates 90 years ago to take over from a formidable force that had been in occupation for the previous 750 years. Let us remember our brave volunteers on this auspicious occasion. Ar yesterday, you're in the Hanaka Deal, you're